Everyday people working 9 to 5, saving up that money, trying to survive, investing in the future, trying to be wise, through loving money hero. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nick Johnson, host of Everyday Money Heroes, and I've reached early retirement. I'm here to provide information on how to obtain financial independence and inspire you through sharing stories of everyday people who are turning knowledge into freedom.
That hustle, always reaching for the sky. We wanna be money heroes, never gonna shy.
Hello and welcome to Everyday Money Heroes, where we provide information and inspiration to people of all ages to take control of their financial journey. I'm your host, Nick Johnson, and today we're going to talk about HSAs. The reason why we're doing this video is that recently it was National HSA Day. I did not even know that was a thing, but every October 15th, it is recognized. It actually started back in 2019. So I thought that was a good reminder to talk about it and make individuals understand what the purposes of an HSA are, what you can do with it, and even share some of the mistakes I made when I first opened up my first HSA. And so let's go ahead and get into this topic. But before we get started, I'm going to ask that if you have not, please subscribe to our channel. Whether you are on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple, that you would subscribe or follow it. Also, that you would like the video. Those likes are really good for videos because it kind of sends those positive vibes out to the universe and allows it to be shown to other people. So if you could do that, that would be greatly appreciated. So let's talk about HSAs. Okay, so first of all, an HSA stands for Health Savings Account. Okay. What is an HSA needed for? Okay, so a HSA is a tax advantage savings account owned by an individual that could be used for qualified medical expenses. Okay, you might be wondering, okay, what exactly is a qualified medical expense? So examples of qualified medical expenses by the IRS is medical and dental fees, prescription medications, hospitals and nursing homes, medical equipment, vision care, just to name a few things. Now, granted, these qualified expenses are identified through the IRS, so these things are subject to change. So I always want to make sure that you are referencing the IRS guidelines when it comes to that. Okay. And so one of the other things you have to think about is that if you're going to have an HSA, there's a particular type of account that you have to have. Okay. And when I say account, I'm talking about insurance plan. Okay. So when you have an insurance plan, there are various types, but you have to basically pair a HSA with a high deductible insurance plan. Okay. I have been in the insurance or was in the insurance business for many years. I was in the insurance industry for 30 years. And so I'm definitely familiar with those high deductible plans. There are other types that you can have, but what you need is a high deductible plan to be able to utilize an HSA. Okay. So once you have that high deductible plan, you can partner it with an HSA. And so one of the big things you want to think about is the differences. Okay, goes you might hear the term FSA and get confused between the two. So there's a health savings account, which is the HSA, but then there is an FSA, which is a flexible spending account. Okay, so what are the benefits of a FSA versus a HSA? The biggest thing that I would like to bring to your attention is that you can continue to roll over the funds in an HSA. An FSA is use it or lose it. So that's why sometimes individuals who have FSAs, they go on like Band-Aid runs and things like that. So they know that, it's the end of their plan year and they're going to lose those funds. So go out and they'll stock up their medicine cabinet with Band-Aids and um, aspirin, all that kind of stuff. So that's what they'll do with those FSAs. Okay. So whenever you're thinking about the two, just know that an FSA will go away at the end of the year as far as those funds if you don't use them. On HSA, it stays with you. Okay. So I heard someone say it's a health savings account. It really is a savings account because it doesn't matter. It just kind of stays with you over time. Okay. Uh, One other big thing about it is that there's also some portability with it as well. So it doesn't matter. You can actually be an employer have an HSA, if you leave that employer, you can actually take that HSA and put it into another brokerage or a different place. So, for instance, I had a HSA, I hated my employer. I went ahead, I leveraged that, and I actually rolled it over into Fidelity. That's actually where my HSA is right now, at Fidelity. And so, the big thing with it, like I said, is portability when it comes to HSA. It can roll over, and there's another big thing, and I want to hold on to that one for just a second, okay? And so you want to make sure that you have a high deductible plan and understand that when an HSA that it's portable. But they will also hear individuals talking about an HSA saying that it is triple taxed advantaged. Okay, so what does that mean? TTA, this is the biggest thing. So first of all, whenever you fund an HSA, that HSA is using pre-tax dollars. Okay, so whenever you have an HSA, it's using pre-tax dollars. So basically, that means that you have that money, and it is taken from your pay, and so that money that you are allocating to your HSA, you don't get taxed on it. So it actually takes down your taxable income. Okay, and so say for instance, if you were making $50,000 a year, you contributed $5,000 a year to your HSA, you're only going to be taxed on $45,000. Okay, so that's a big, so you're paying less tax. Also, it can be tax-free growth. Okay, so the funds that you put into your HSA will grow tax-free. Okay, that's extremely important. Okay, so if you put in that account, if you don't touch it for 10 years, whatever growth that money's had those 10 years, it's tax-free growth as long as you use it for a qualified medical expense. And then there's tax-free withdrawals. Okay. So you can put it in tax-free and you can pull it out tax-free. Okay. So that's really great. So you can put that money in, it can grow, and then you can pull that money out without paying any taxes as long as you use it for qualified medical expenses. Okay. So that's why people enjoy HSA so much. So I said I want to share with you a mistake that I made. Okay. So here's a mistake that I made. No one's perfect. I'm definitely not. So I'm going to share it. I got my HSA and I funded it. Typically, the way it goes is that whatever the single contribution limit is, it'll be doubled for the family. So if it's $3,400 for a single individual, it'll be what, $6,800 for a family. So that's typically the way it goes. Okay, so I was making my contributions into my HSA because I understood that, there was tax savings there. And also I wanted to go ahead because we had a high deductible plan. I wanted to save up the money so that if anything did happen, and we need to go ahead and it was something that was catastrophic, that we would go ahead and have that money set aside to be able to cover our deductible. Then I'm not sure exactly where I heard it or who told me this, but I learned that you could invest the funds in the HSA. I was like, you can invest the funds. Because up to that point, I would get my HSA statement, and it would say that this month you made I don't know $1.25. Woo! I'm not trying to poo-poo on it, but I mean it wasn't anything to write home about. But then when I heard that I can invest the funds inside of my HSA, so I went and I started to investigate that, and sure enough, I could actually allocate some of the funds inside of my HSA for investing. Okay, and so the way it worked and what appears to be kind of the common practice is that there's $1,000 threshold. Once your HSA gets to $1,000, that anything over that you can actually invest into the market. And so usually what they'll have is that they'll have, depending on where you go. So the first HSA I had, they had a few different mutual funds. They might have a total stock market, S&P 500, some things like that. And so I was able to actually every paycheck, I will be able to invest into those funds. Okay. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I was maxing it out. Okay. But then I realized the biggest thing at that particular point was that even once I put that money in there, I did not have to take it out immediately. So, say for instance, I went to the eye doctor and I paid for it. It was $100. Long as I kept that receipt, there was no statute of limitations on when I could actually go and pull that money out. So I could go. Today, I could go to the doctor, $100. I could hold on to that receipt. And that money that I had invested into the stock market could continue to grow. And if I want to, I could just aggregate all my receipts for a number of years. Then I could go and then be reimbursed for it. So I could have, say, $10,000 worth of medical expenses. As long as I had those funds within my HSA account, I could actually go get a reimbursement for it and not have to pay any taxes on that. Okay, so basically that money out is was still growing. I kind of deferred getting that and allowed me to get some extra funds. And so once I learned that piece, I was like, okay, I'm going to stop using because I was the one. Sometimes I won't lie, we would like use our HSA to pay deductibles for like co-pays for medications and things like that. I got to the point where I was like, you know what, we're going to just pay all this stuff out of pocket and we'll just save our receipts. And then at one point, sometime down the road, we'll just make a larger reimbursement. And so I did that for a while. And then I heard this one great thing that an HSA, all right, make sure to listen up here. This is good stuff. An HSA, when you turn 65, it basically just becomes a plain old retirement account. Okay, so at that particular point, you can use that for anything you want to. Okay, so up until 65, you have to use it for qualified expenses. Okay, qualified medical expenses. But once you hit 65, you can use it for anything. Now, granted, you can still use it to cover qualified expenses and you don't pay any taxes on it. But if you use it for something other than qualified expenses, then you have to pay, usual taxes on it. But with that being said, you can treat it like a different or another retirement account. So at this point, we have not made any withdrawals from our HSA in years. I mean, it's maybe been 7, 8 years since we've actually made a withdrawal from our HSA. And so really what we're treating that as is almost another retirement account. Okay. So granted, if something catastrophic does happen, and there is a need to pull some funds from there, we have been keeping our receipts. So we can go ahead and make that withdrawal from there if needed. And those withdrawals are going to be tax free because they'll be on qualified expenses. Okay. And so that was the biggest mistake that I know I made. I did not know that those funds could be invested. And then once I learned to be invested, later on, I learned that if I didn't do anything with those funds would be treated as a traditional retirement account that I could still use for qualified medical expenses, not pay taxes on those, but I can use it for anything else, which makes HSA so great. That's why individuals, you might see people say, I heart HSAs. That's true because they are pretty good. And so my guidance to you would be if you have a high deductible plan, look into a HSA. Okay. If you have not done it, there's no minimum contribution limits to an HSA. So you can just use that as a means to cover if you have concerns, because I know there are some people who have concerns that if they have a high deductible plan, that if something happens, that they won't be able to cover that. So if you want to, go ahead, fund it to your deductible. Say, for instance, you might have a $2,500 or $5,000 deductible. Go ahead and fund it at least to that. But then, it's maybe you might want to go ahead and max it out. Like I said, we got to the point where we're actually maxing out our HSA every year. And right now, our HSA is a sizable amount because we understood that we can invest it, and we didn't do anything fancy. We just put it in a S&P 500 mutual fund, and we just let it grow. So it's been growing there for years. So if you did not know that, it's okay. I mean, you don't know till somebody tells you. So one thing I would definitely suggest is looking into those HSAs if you have a deductible plan. If you don't have a high deductible plan, think about it because there are some benefits definitely to having a high deductible plan so that you can have a HSA. So that's it. So I really wanted to put that out there to you, knowing that HSAs are pretty awesome. You can do plenty of things with them. They can be used as a additional retirement account, and there are just so many benefits to them. So that's why they call them triple advantage. Okay, because tax deductible contributions, tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals. Okay. Do you have an HSA? If you have any additional questions that you would like to put down about HSAs or things that you've learned about HSAs, just any comments, feel free to put them down in the comment section as well. So that being said, I'm going to sign off here. This is Nick Johnson. Thank you for your time. And as always, I want to remind you to trust the process. Have a great day.